Oof, my head. That was really rough. My memory is clouded. What happened to me? I'll understand where I am and what I'm doing here, or I'm not Michel Ardan. Looks like I'm not the only one who suffered a shock. This man seems utterly knocked out. Let me see. I'm pretty sure I know him. It's Barbicane, the president of the gun club, and the man at the origin of the Columbiad project.
Baltimore, October 5th, 1865. Barbicane, president of the gun club, proposes an undertaking worthy of the 19th century to build a giant cannon capable of shooting at an incredibly distant objective.
An unconscious man. I recognize him. It's Captain Nicholl, a famous engineer.
Captain Nicholl, a specialist in armor plating, is known for his rivalry with Barbicane, an artillery expert. Nicholl claims that the gun club's project is impossible. Furious, Barbicane challenges him to a duel.
A newspaper clipping. Hey, the article talks about me.
Michel Ardan, famous French adventurer, volunteers to travel in the aluminum shell designed by President Barbicane. Michel Ardan manages to reconcile Nicholl and Barbicane. "Since you're the kind of men who dare risk their lives," he says, "accompany me. You'll have front row seats to see which of you is right." So in the end, the shell is loaded in the giant cannon with 3 men on board.
Good Lord! That blue star, it's the Earth! I'm in outer space!
An enormous explosion tears the shell from the Earth's gravitational pull. Destination, the moon. On board, all the passengers have fallen unconscious.
Everything's coming back to me now. The cannon, the shell. We actually left Earth. Fantastic! We're on our way to the moon. Nicholl, Barbicane, and me. I seem to be the first to ever regain consciousness. I'd better wake up the others. What's this dark stain that's spreading? Is my friend injured?
Michel Ardan briskly raises the blanket, covering his friend.
My lord! I thought Barbicane was just unconscious, but he's dead. And it's not the G-forces at the launch that killed him, but a bullet right through the heart. What happened? I've got to understand just what happened. I'm almost ashamed to remove my worthy friend's hat. Perhaps I ought to put it back on his head. This letter is the last message my friend Barbicane wrote to me. Michel. Fate dictated that Nicholl and I awaken before you. We quickly realized that due to tragic negligence, we wouldn't have enough oxygen for 3. The letter is torn. The rest is missing.
After the shock of launch, President Barbicane and Captain Nicholl are the first to regain consciousness. While Ardan is still out cold, the two men realize that because of their negligence, their oxygen supply is insufficient for 3 men. One alone could survive.
Should I search in the papers of my friend? It's indiscreet, but maybe I'll find clues. This is Barbicane's wallet. It contains a letter written on perfumed stationery. What does it say? I love you. Love in you the bold cannoneer who will soon realize mankind's grandest dream. But won't you allow your humble servant to accompany you on this journey? It's signed Diana M.
Under the cover, Nickel is no longer breathing. He's as dead as Barbicane, but there's no visible injury.
I've lost both my friends. I'm all alone here. This rifle smells of powder. It's been fired recently.
Nickel's shot kills Barbicane. A fitting death for the president of the gun club. When he comes to, Ardan first thinks that Barbicane and Nickel have fainted because of the violence of the launch. He soon realizes that both of his friends are dead and swears to find out exactly what happened to them.
I'm suffocating. I'd better do something or I'm going to be in a pickle. A monograph on lunar ideograms. I'm going to take this interesting essay with me. Now I seem to be breathing better. Hey, here's the rooster I smuggled on board. I'd forgotten about him. I had hidden this handsome specimen of Gallinaceae under the bench to play a joke on Nickel and Barbicane. Once on the moon, I would have set the animal free outside the shell without saying anything to my friends. What a shock they would have had when they saw this terrestrial poultry perched on some lunar peak. Rooster, my friend, I see you got loose of the string I'd attached to your foot. Very good. There's no longer any reason for you to stay hidden since we're all alone on board. A piece of paper, ripped up and burned.
The rifle shot scares the rooster that Michel Ardan had hidden in the shell. The frightened animal rips with his claws part of the letter Barbicane has in his hand. The paper catches fire when the frantic movements of the bird carry it above the gas burner.
By heating this burned paper slightly, the letters that were written on it reappear, bright red. What I'm holding is the end of a letter Barbicane wrote. Discovering that our air supply would only be enough for one person, Nickel and I quickly agreed on what we would do. Together, we will undertake the grand journey into the other world. As for the trip to the moon, one of us alone will accomplish that. And, my brave Ardan, that man shall be you. Courageous friends, they gave their lives for me.
When confronted with danger, real or imaginary differences couldn't prevent two representatives of the nation's elite from doing their duty. Without hesitation, Barbicane and Nickel decide to sacrifice themselves so that Michel Ardan might reach the moon.
This is Nickel's wallet. What's it contain that's interesting? Ah, so this is what a love letter looks like. My valiant captain, if you wanted, yes, if you so desired, we could leave together for that destination which fills my every thought. The letter is signed Diana.
The old rivalry between Barbicane the gunner and Nicole the armorer is a fact. Furthermore, letters found on the two men seem to indicate that they were loved by the same woman, a certain Diana. Weren't there enough elements to rekindle the flames of a scarcely extinguished dispute?
A strange smell is emanating from Nichols' face. An odor of bitter almond.
A disconcerting, if predictable event takes place on board the shell. When the projectile reaches the point at which the gravitational attraction of the Earth and the Moon are in equilibrium, Michel Ardan starts floating in the air. Amused by the experience at first, our hero suddenly notices that the potassium tank is not properly closed.
Good Lord, the potassium hydroxide is escaping and forming bubbles. I have to recover the liquid, or it will spill everywhere when weightlessness ends. I've got to catch all the potassium bubbles.
Michel Ardan has captured the last bubble just in time. Weightlessness comes to an end. He returns the potassium to its tank and closes it hermetically with an improvised cap.
Whew. The carbon dioxide level is going down. The potassium tank is filled and closed. I shouldn't have any more trouble with that.
The end of weightlessness indicates the shell is coming closer to the moon. If everything goes as planned, Ardan will soon land on its surface.
I'm very close to the moon. I'm practically grazing it. I'm going to make it. Oh no! I missed it! I can't see a thing. Am I in orbit behind the dark side, or adrift in the infinite void? No more sun, no more heat. All right, it's very possible that my capsule is lost in space, but let's be positive about this. Besides dying, what other misfortune could happen to me? And death is just one more journey.